Mindfulness is a gate for a question that we're all asking ourselves. Who am I? And why am I here for? Or what am I here for? So when I say a gate, I mean that mindfulness is a touching point. It's a touching base point. When you know where you are, when you know what is happening exactly, then you have a path, you have a way to get into meaning, to draw the substance or the foundations that will help you gain meaning. And that's from events or the things that you do or the things that happen to you, invited or uninvited in life. Yeah. So the biggest benefit of mindfulness is to have that starting point. There are many other benefits that I can talk about, but to me it's also important to mention that because mindfulness is a buzzword today and it's being used very broadly and sometimes a little bit out of context. And when it's coming out of context, it becomes mindfulness for the sake of mindfulness. So I may be mindful of the noise in the background we've just mentioned, and that's it. That's the end of the story. Who cares? If I'm mindful that I'm hurting someone and I'm not exploring around it, what gave rise to this, what in my behavior, my inner world, my feeling world contributed to that, then I don't care if you're mindful that you're offending someone or not. Mindfulness for the sake of mindfulness doesn't really do much. This is why I start by mentioning that it is a gate point, but we have to go to the gate in order to cross that threshold to what we are all really, really looking for and searching for. Meaning, a sense of belonging. These two are very kind of tightly interconnected. A deep understanding of what is going around us. So that would be a major benefit of that. And the way that it happens is that mindfulness for me is the ability to be in intimacy with what is. And that's really sometimes a scary word for some people. It has no connection to any erotic behavior or sphere. Intimacy is really the ability to come close with something, so we really can sense it, we can smell it, we can see it clearly, we can spend time with it, create a deep connection. And with the ability to be in intimacy with something or someone, we are really opening up the spectrum of our attention, or the spectrum of what we actually see. So one of the common experiences, for example, of mindfulness practice. So let's say it happens through meditation. You know what? I'm not going to take meditation actually. Let's say I want to write something. So I'm working on writing a story, and I'm looking at people now to be able to start describing their presence, to describe their face. And that is a mindfulness activity. It means that I really need to get as close as possible, which is intimacy. And I actually, with all of these people, I just observe them. It can be the waiter in a restaurant, it could be a couple of mothers in a cafe shop where I come to sit, or it can be a person passing by in the street, or someone who's sitting in front of me in the tram. The activity of being there, being present, and really paying a keen attention, being curious, looking for all the little details that compose that person or that situation, that is an activity of mindfulness. And it doesn't necessarily happen only in meditation. This is why I wanted actually to take it outside of the meditation, because it's already an activity that happens to many people spontaneously, without labeling it as mindfulness. Having said that, increasing the capacity of mindfulness, because it is possible to increase it, it is possible to develop it, has a lot of benefits. So one is related to what I've mentioned just now, which is really the ability, the capacity to fully engage with what is happening. And that has a tremendous contribution to any kind of art, and any artist knows that. Writing and sculpture and painting and dancing, any kind of art demands that, and it's inherent in a good artistic activity. It expands our clarity, so we have a clearer perception and clearer understanding of the interaction that we're having with a person, of the intentions that we carry, of the results that we want to achieve. There is a greater clarity that comes with mindfulness, and that might seem a little bit puzzling, because one person can listen to this and think to herself, I'm not lack of clarity. Now, as might as that can be the truth, there is always a deeper level of seeing through any experience and any event. So you can think simply about a situation that happened to you with a friend, where at the beginning you saw this interaction, or a friend comes and tell you something, you think to yourself, why is she saying that to me? That's a bit offensive maybe, or it's kind of unclear about her intention. But with the practice of mindfulness and everything that comes with it, you might start thinking, maybe she had a different kind of intention behind what she wants to say to me. Maybe she's actually pointing out to something that was in my blind spot. Maybe she's pointing out to something that will enhance our friendship. Maybe she's pointing out to something that is within my habits and I'm normally not paying attention to it. So what mindfulness will do is shedding light. So we see more clearly into a situation. Now, show me a person who wouldn't mind or wouldn't prefer having life without conflict, with less troubling situations. So not to say that mindfulness is going to erase all your problems, but it's going to definitely shed some light and give you some more insight into how to deal with specifically complex situations. So if previously I've mentioned artistic and enhancing that capacity, there is the other side of dealing with complex and challenging situations in life, which we all know in one way or another. So mindfulness is enhancing our perspective. It's broadening our perspective, and it brings more into the picture of what we thought that we can actually see. Yeah. So there was an interesting research that showed that when we have a positive mind, or I should start and say, when we have a negative mind, we see much less physically. We have a limited field of vision, of sight, physical seeing, compared to when we have a positive state of mind. We actually see much more. That is a parallel to the clarity and the broadening of perspective that mindfulness supports and contributes to our daily life. It is shifting or inclining the mind, as it's traditionally described in the Dharma, in the Buddhist traditions. It's inclining the mind towards reality as it is. And I prefer actually that than to use positive and negative, because that's based on comparison, and we never really know whether and how much truth there is in it.